G'day guys, just a bit of an update on hypothyroidism. So I did a video, 7 days of energy on hypothyroidism. Unfortunately that didn't sustain itself, but what I will say is someone's asking here, Sonia's asking, thanks for the video, are you still doing Wim Hof method and how do you feel? I'm kind of doing Wim Hof. I'm doing a similar method, which is using my Apple Watch. And it's sort of 7 deep breaths, so it's not quite the same as Wim Hof, but I've noticed that the results are the same in that your heart rate variability goes up, which is a good thing because that's you're telling your parasympathetic nervous system to chill out. In other words, you're de-stressing your body, which is really cool. So I feel like Wim Hof is probably better, but I've not been disciplined, so I found the watch is handy because it's very convenient. I've just got on my wrist, I tap one button, it's like this little blue petal flower thing, animates in, animates out, and you mirror your breathing with the animation, and that helps. It really does. So as with all the solutions that I've tried, they seem pretty temporary, and I don't know whether they maintain their strength. It's really hard to judge because the weather is such an impactor on energy. So you can try some things and they work, sometimes they don't. So for instance, the deep of winter, I had to avoid doing cold showers because I did some high intensity running, thinking that I could try and up my fitness, and I was trying to develop some apps that measured high intensity running, and I really overdid it and lost a lot of weight. So having cold showers takes a lot of energy out of you, especially if you get too low on your weight. So that's something that I was concerned about. So I wouldn't recommend the cold showers if you're losing too much weight. But the flip side of that is now I'm back in hot showers. It sucks your energy. So yeah, hot showers are harder to recover from. So it's really hard to know what is the right thing to do there with temperature. But there's simple hacks you can do throughout life, like wearing gloves today. It's been a pretty cold day. Yesterday was really hot, whereas today's super cold. It seems to be what Australia does in Victoria. So so yeah, that's a bit of an update on the Wim Hof. I hope that's helpful. I'll just run through a couple other things that I've got a comment from someone else that talked about the ashwagandha, because that was one of the herbs that's meant to help with the thyroid, and it's actually, he says here, it's California, who says that this is a nightshade. So it's not good for Hashimoto's if you've got that, or I try to avoid any nightshades anyway because obviously your immune system's not so good. Nightshades are not so good for it, so trying to avoid nightshades. Right. So just to close off this video, I'll go through a couple of the other things. So we're done Wim Hof. Binaural beats I haven't touched again. I'd like to try it again. Kombucha I've swapped out with sauerkraut. I was finding there was a bit too much yeast in the kombucha drinking on a regular basis. So yeah, I had another point there on that video, movement. So yoga, I'd love to do more yoga because it seems to have a positive impact, but you gotta be disciplined. So that's just talking to myself there. I gotta be disciplined about this and do more yoga because it's obviously good. Bone broth, that's an interesting one. I've done bone broth since then, and I've found it's helped. And I've since learnt that in the bone broth there is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to put it in the show notes in the YouTube notes. There's something in the bone broth that helps your gut lining repair itself, and there's some nuts that also provide the same component. So it's worth having nuts or bone broth just to get that, because it helps the gut lining repair itself. And why that's important is, you know, if you got hypothyroidism and you got symptoms like I do, where you have gluten intolerance, or if you eat gluten and a hole's punched through your gut lining, gluten gets in the bloodstream, antibodies are created because they're not supposed to be in there, so it tries to flush out the gluten in your blood. Your thyroid tissue gets shot in the crossfire there, which really sucks because it feels like you got like hot flushes sort of thing. So it's not fun. But essentially avoid gluten. But it's really weird. The past week, I've reintroduced bread, specifically sourdough, and the traditional way that it was made. So what's interesting is the bacteria breaks it all up. So the gluten component is no longer deadly because it's not fully formed. So at least that's the hypothesis I have at the moment as to why I can eat that, and I'm excited about that, as you can probably see, because, you know, bread's pretty yummy, and reintroducing sourdough and having that positive response from the gut and the system has been great. So, as with all these things, it's probably a good idea to talk to doctors beforehand. Something that's always said on a lot of these videos, just so people cover themselves, I guess. So yeah, I'm not a doctor, I don't have any background in this, I'm just a citizen scientist trying to fix my own body through lots of reading of different content. One place I would recommend to check out that is a medical practitioner type guy, what's his name? Mike Matzel. I'll put it down in the notes as well. He does a lot of interviews with practitioners, and there's a few in there that are specifically for the autoimmune system, and specifically for the gut, and they're worth reading, they're worth watching, and it's worth reading some Google Scholar stuff, you know, just to be across what's happening, what clinical trials are happening. Yeah, there's a lot of content out there, but ultimately, for me, trialing out a few things to see what works and what doesn't, that's what's helping me to feel more alive, you know. So there we have it. That's my update for hypothyroidism, so I hope that's useful. Alright, please comment as well if you got any of your own stories that you'd like to share, because I'd love to hear from, you know, anybody with hypothyroidism or even similar autoimmune diseases. You know, just hearing about this stuff is, yeah, it's tough mentally going through some of these diseases, and or metabolically damaged, I think is the word to put it. And you know, any tips or tricks will, no doubt, I will pay attention to them. So yeah, thanks for your time, and have a great one, guys. Ciao.